Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 445 to 446 for the 14th to 15th of May. And for those that are watching on YouTube, you're watching slightly delayed, maybe 12 hours, no, 36, no, not 36, 24 hours delay. Yeah, because the DPA officers, sergeants, and generals will get it first. And if you want to get it first as well, get the latest information. Actually, you still get the latest information, just that the SITREP you will get it slightly delayed. And if you want it to see it as soon as possible, and to also support DPA's work, do check out the Patreon, Coffee, and also locals. And I also created a Boosty. You can check the link below. I just added it. For those that are watching from Russia and you really want to throw money my way, yeah, then Boosty is probably, I think, the one that is supported in Russia. And for those that are watching on YouTube, press the like button, subscribe if you are new to this channel. And for those that want to complain about, this delay doesn't work, I have to say it's working. So I highly appreciate everyone that joined and supports DPA's work. To be honest, it really makes a difference. The kind of security that it's giving me allows me to work more confidently. If not, then it's very scary to work under the evil fist of YouTube. Anyway, let's start off with missile strike. So the Russian Defense Ministry reported that they have kinsed out the Patriot missile that was in the viral video, firing so many missiles into the sky as if it's an Iron Dome system, and it got reportedly destroyed by the Kinzhal hypersonic glide vehicle, which is missile. The interestingly is that the Ukrainian Defense Ministry seems to claim that they shot down 6 Kinzhals. Yeah, 6 Kinzhals. Then why the hell the Russians have to develop Kinzhals if it can be shot down so easily? Then you know how old is Patriot? Patriot system. Never mind, it's okay. I mean, believe whatever you want. And also on the flip side, flip the side. Then the Russians say that they have shot down 7 Shadow Storm cruise missiles. Yeah, everyone is just coping. I don't know. Then over at the massive explosion at the Kreminna, there is rumors of depleted uranium ammo that was destroyed as part of that massive explosion, and reportedly or allegedly by pro-Russian sources that in the Kreminna and Ternopil region, in this region, I should change to the blue color. In this region, there is contaminations. According to one of the DPA viewers that had emailed me, letting me know that so I did a video, a quick update a report regarding debunking the pro-Russian propaganda regarding this thing. He did tell me that gamma radiation, the depleted uranium does not give off gamma radiation that much. It's really alpha. So which means that the gamma radiation detection doesn't really suffice in terms of detection of such thing, and also that because the danger of it is dust, so you need to be physically there to actually examine the soil, the layer of dust, in order to detect the radioactivity. It's not it's not like a Chernobyl kind of thing. So yeah, for my stance is there is no depleted uranium there, and there's no contamination until there is more information. I just gonna disregard that as misinformation. Moving on, we go by geography. As usual, we go from the anti-clockwise direction. In the Kherson region, we do not have any things happening. My trusted pro-Russian sources is very weird. They all say that there was this misinformation about Ukrainians capturing some islands around here, which actually it's like something here or something. I do not know what's the thing. I never actually saw that misinformation. So it might be a misinformation about a misinformation which is meant to misinform you. about there is a misinformation. So no, yeah, it's bizarre. No, over at the Zaporizhia line, we have the Russian Defense Ministry reported a lot of shelling across the past 2 days. There's shelling reported at Novodanilivka. This is reported in today's SITREP from the Russian Defense Ministry. Malatoshmashka, Belihya, Shivone, Melinivka, Potavka, and at Velika Novosilka on the 14th and on the 16th. All these are by Russian Defense Ministry report. There's over 3 days, 14, 15, and 16th report. The strikes can be on the actual day that they reported or the day before. So because they report on 12 noon, so that is the middle of the day, making it impossible for me to tell if it's today's or the days before. So I made it a point that I only put the date as per the day of their report. And over at the Donetsk front, we have Ukrainian recon forces. For those that do not know what is DRG, which is actually a deep reconnaissance group. So the recon is also scout. For those that do not know what is the meaning of reconnaissance, or is scouting. They are looking for something. So the Ukrainian scouts, the Boy Scouts actually, arrive in the region around Urozyany, and which is kind of deep away, far away from the front line. Is around 7 kilometers from the front line. So it's a little weird that we have Ukrainian actions this far away. Where's my changes? Yeah. So something like this. And over at there's also reported fighting at Masyutivka and also at Solotke, all reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. And otherwise, there's a lot of shelling. We have shelling reported at Shevchenko on the 14 and 16, Voleda on the 15, Muskilsky on the 14, and Vodian on the 14 and on the 15, which also means that there is significant number of Ukrainian forces in this region here, continue to be in this region here, that actually attracts all this shelling from the Russian Defense Ministry. So we do have all these actions that's happening around here. This shelling is going to weaken the Ukrainians' ability to launch an offensive. So this is actually a catch-22 for the Ukrainian forces, because if they want to go on the offensive, they need to group up, prepare, accumulate the forces, and then push. But as every day that they delay and they are near the front line, they get destroyed. So it is really the very hard positions for the Ukrainians. And there is fighting reported at Marinka on the 14th and on the 16th, reported by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Is it the 16th? I think I may put this date wrong, because I don't think I have the 16th report. Yeah, so 14 and 15 at Marinka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And over at let me mute my. Over at the Adivka front, we have fighting reported at Pervomaysky, according to Deep State UA. They say that the Russians in the south of Pervomaysky is traditionally unlucky. They wrote it in Ukrainian, so whatever that's supposed to mean. And then there's fighting reported at the Adivka region. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry simply wrote near Adivka, and yeah, very lazy. In the nearby region, we have a Mi-24 shot down over Selidove, which is an attack helicopter, and we have a Sukhoi 27 plane shot down over Novohorodivka, Sukhoi 25 shot down over Pokrov. So into the New York front, we have nothing over New York front. And before we move into the Bakhmut front, we have another plane, Sukhoi 24 shot down over Vavarivka. Into the Bakhmut front. In the Bakhmut front, we have a lot of situation over the past 2-3 days. On the 14th, there is reported fighting towards Proteshny, which is actually here. There's reported fighting in this direction, which I don't think is accurate. There's fighting reported west of Ivanivsky on the 14th, according to SITREP maps. And Ryba, where the Russian forces allegedly have lost this entire area here, if the Ukrainians managed to push into this line. And the we have information from the pro-Russian source Ryba saying that 4 battalions has been deployed to the flanks of Bakhmut. So to reinforce the Russian forces, which is actually in the north, probably 2 battalions on top, 2 battalions in the south to hold the line. So that's one thing. So this is quite significant because the Russians defense ministry seems very reluctant to help the Wagner forces, but it seems that because now the flanks is really by the motorized infantry, so I think they need to save their own people. And the Russian defense ministry actually reported about the Ukrainian offensive on the 14th of May. They mentioned massive attempt by the Ukrainian forces to try to break the Russian defense in the north and the south of Bakhmut. Artyomov is Bakhmut, and they of course they will say that all the attacks were repelled. There is no breakthrough in the defense of the Russian forces, and they did mention that the 4th and the 200th Motorized Rifle Brigade and 6th Motorized Rifle Division is fighting in this front. Particularly over at the Ivaniske region is actually fought by the 4th Motorized Rifle Brigade, and they actually lost their commander. The 4th Motorized Rifle Brigade Colonel whatever VM has been killed in the 3rd attack of the Ukrainian forces after he was seriously injured and he died while being evacuated from the battlefield. So the Ukrainians do launch massive attack in this area here. However, over on the 15th, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said the Russians are attacking, which is unusual because it's against the tide of war. And then we have the Russian Defense Ministry on the 16th, which is today, report probably about yesterday, saying that they actually repelled 10 Ukrainian attacks, which means the Ukrainians actually are still on the offensive. It's not exactly the Russians attacking. So the Ukrainian Defense Ministry always never talk about their own offensive. They always project even their own offensive as Russians attacking. So this is something that you need to note when you are reading the Ukrainian Defense Ministry's report. They are not particularly honest about their own actions. There is a bridge, a road bridge destroyed somewhere near Ivaniske. I'm not sure if it's this one, which is the same one that was destroyed previously, or some other road bridge around this highway that is leading to Bakhmut. So, but yeah, so just note that there is another bridge that was destroyed to slow down the reinforcement to Bakhmut from the Konstantinivka direction. And before we move into the city itself, there is shelling reported at Chastivia on the 15th and on the 16th, and Bodanivka on the 15th and on the 16th. This is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. That the Ukrainian Defense Ministry also reported fighting towards Krychorivka by the Russians, and Bodanivka on both is on the 14th, which as I mentioned previously, I don't think is accurate. And the Russian Defense Ministry continued their very long report. They also mentioned that the Deputy Armed Corps Commander also died fighting in the northern part, and he's with the 3rd Battalion of the 200 Motorized Rifle Brigade defending on the eastern part of Bodanivka. So there's a lot of losses. I do recommend you to watch the update regarding this Bakhmut front update, or you can watch, I think better still, I think you watch on the main channel the operational report for the Russian offensive. In that report, I actually go into details about all these things. There is also fighting reported at probably Krychorivka region, where the 6th Division actually also defended against an Ukrainian attack. And so no, the Ukrainian offensive is still ongoing on the Bakhmut front, but within the city itself, things are looking really bad for the Ukrainian forces. Over the past 2-3 days, the Russian forces have actually penetrated deep into the center of Bakhmut city, and they have also basically push out the Ukrainian forces from the nest sector of this Citadel region. Let me zoom in a bit. So the Russian forces have basically come all the way to the Volhynia street region, and they have closed up all the way around the Peremorha cinema. And so this basically nest sector has been entirely cleared, with the Ukrainians most likely to be withdrawing at this current juncture. For more information, do check out the Bakhmut update, the latest Bakhmut update. And going through the sources, we have on the 14th fighting near the Peremorha cinema, and then there is fighting along the Czechoslovakia street. On the 14th, the front line wasn't this deep. There was only something like this, and then there was fighting along the Novonevskogo street on the 14th. So on the 14th, the Russians actually already have some kind of penetration into the Citadel area as well. And then late after that report that I did about this, geolocation of Russian forces in this position, it was reported by Chris 759, and it's also reported by Deep State 2A, which means that this is the first signal of the indication that the Ukrainian forces actually have lost this area as well. So and then in the latest information from Surya Maps, they reported that most of this region here has been captured by the Russian forces, the Wagner forces, and reportedly these Wagner forces, according to Remelin, is reinforced by the VDV, the airborne forces of the Russian military. So most likely they are all squeezed out of the nest sector as we speak, but the Ukrainian forces. And over on the other side, at the constructor sector, this is the constructor sector, fighting is reported in a northern part, northern area here, where the Russians have made some progress. Over at the last line of defense region by the Ukrainians, the Russian forces have actually closed up the entire area along the last line of defense. Fighting was reported on the 14th, and on the 14th it was already closed up. And on the 15th, there was some kind of penetration past this last line of defense region here, where there seems to be some kind of a success to break through. But definitely the Ukrainians have more lines of defense in these last few streets. And on top of that, there is rumors saying that from Russian sources, pro-Russian sources, which is not confirmed by my primary and secondary sources, which that this entire area, the nest and the constructor sector, has been captured entirely by the Russian forces. So just take note that there's such information. And on top, over on the southwest side, the Ukrainians actually successfully take back some buildings along the Tchaikovsky Street. The Ukrainians actually managed to take over these buildings here, pushing back the Russian lines, which was previously along the road. So this is rather important for the Ukrainians, because if we are not looking, if you are looking very objectively about the situation now within the Bakhmut city, the Ukrainian forces will have to retreat very, very soon. And this pushback is really important to push the Russians backwards, so that the Ukrainians can use this route to retreat out of Bakhmut for the forces that is currently in this southwestern part of Bakhmut city. And for those that are withdrawing away from the nest sector and perhaps from the constructor sector, they will have to go from the dirt road near Kromove, and it will be a hold up by the last line of defense. If not, then they will have to go through Kromove Street, which is the Kromove Road, which is currently safe to use as well. So we likely going to see the last line of defense holding up as much as they can, and while around this sector called the Domino sector, as the Ukrainians are try to withdraw away from this area and do a mass withdrawal. Probably this is going to happen. If not, then the Ukrainians will continue to do what Ukrainians always will do: hold every single inch of ground, and then all the power to them. Over at the northwestern part of Bakhmut city, we have geolocation of Russian forces at this position. According to the mapping by pro-Ukrainian sources, they actually have controlled, taken control of this territory here. So it's kind of a contradiction, because this report is by Deep State UA, but Deep State UA's mapping actually shows that they have control over this area. So it's kind of a not sure what is happening, but we shall see how this goes. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm moving the map because somehow all my changes got reset. So if you look at a quick update, all this mapping has already been updated, but somehow the mapping has been reset. So it's kind of like irritating, because some of these changes disappeared, and I have to go through and check as I go through, and then it's like, why is this thing's not updated? So yeah, so let's move it on to the Sivas front. At the Sivas front, the line here is really quiet, except for the bombardment at Krychorivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry on the 16th May report. And the Ukrainians were reportedly attacking at Dibrova, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, on the 15th of May's report, and otherwise there is just shelling reported at Dibrova on the 14th and on the 16th, and Yampolivka on the 14th, Nevsky on the 15th and on the 16th. So Kreminna fronts, you're basically just seeing a bombardment in this area here, Yampolivka, Nevsky, and then the Ukrainians did some DRG around this area here, and then bombardment at Krychorivka. So Kreminna front largely seems to be rather stagnant at this moment. Nothing very huge is happening, with the Russians continuously bombarding any Ukrainian accumulation of forces. And there is a Ukrainian transport helicopter, the Mi-8, shot down over Brusivka at near Liman, south of Liman, at Brusivka, which is around Stary Karavan region. And that's all from the Kreminna front. And move on to the last front, the Svatove Kupyansk front. At the Svatove front, we have fighting reported at Stemekivka on the reported on the 16th, as well as at Kuzimivka. So the information at Kuzimivka is very interesting. On the 14th, the pro-Russian source says that the Russian forces have actually pulled up and south of Kuzimivka, seemingly giving up the town. But the reality is that they did not give up the town per se. It's just that the town itself is not defendable, because there's a swamp region. There's a lake here, and this area is swamp, and then this entire area here is actually a low ground. So which is why it's not defendable. So the Russians hold on to stronger positions in the north and in the south of the town, of the village, and actually continue to hold Kuzimivka. So the Ukrainians did not really actually take over Kuzimivka at all, despite misinterpretation of what Ryba was reporting. So Ryba actually did a follow-up post to try to explain that Kuzimivka is still actually under Russian control. So, and then there's fighting reported on the 16th at Novosibirsk, whereas the Russian Defense Ministry also reported the Ukrainians are attacking. So the Ukrainians say the Russians are attacking, the Russians say the Ukrainians are attacking. So take it with a pinch of salt. And shelling is reported at Berestove on the 14th. And into the Kupyansk front, we have shelling reported at Tabaivka, Kaislivka on the 14th and on the 16th, Timkovka on the 14th. And around this area here, we have Ukrainian attack at Kotelevivka, Timkovka, and Ivanivka. So there is some DRG or probing actions around this area, while the Russians are shelling the area nearby. So yeah, it's still very low intensity. It's definitely not some kind of a massive offensive action just yet. And nearer into the Vorishna region, we have fighting reported at Sinkivka. According to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, the Russians are attacking Sinkivka. Shelling was reported the next day on the 15th. So yeah, it is. And then over at the Masyutivka region is very interesting. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported on the 14th and on the 15th that the Russians are attacking Masyutivka region. And on the 15th, on the 14th, we actually have information from Surya Maps and Ryba and also Deep State UA acknowledging that Masyutivka has been captured by the Russian forces. And in order to capture this town or village or no man's land, they need to cross over the river, and that's what exactly they did. They crossed the river, they crossed the Oskil River and captured the high ground opposite of Masyutivka, because the Ukrainians previously had a position over here, and they can actually have fire control over this entire area, which is why the Russians actually took over this and have some kind of a bridgehead over at the Oskil, on the western part of the Oskil River. On the 16th, the Russian Defense Ministry in today's report reported that the Ukrainian forces attacked Masyutivka. So maybe it's some kind of a attempt to retake Masyutivka, but it did not work out. And there's also no probing attack reported at Vorishna. So Vorishna is actually here. So the probing attack is not exactly sure where it is. Did they cross the river is kind of unclear. And there is also probing actions reported at Vorishne. And Vorishne similarly is on the eastern part of the river, the Oskil River. So maybe there is some kind of crossing. Not sure, but none of them seem to have worked out thus far. And there is shelling reported at Novomlinsk, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And that's all from the Kupyansk front. And yeah, so this is a very a bit of a lengthy report. Nothing compares to what we used to do, like 40 minutes report in the earlier part of the war. But anyway, thank you for watching. For those that are watching on YouTube, subscribe, press the like button. And for those that are DPA sergeants, officers, and generals, thank you for the support. And I'll see you in the next update.